Hello there, YouTube. My name is Windy, but please call me Windy. And happy Valentine's Day! Today is Valentine's Day. It's one of my favorite holidays ever. St. Patrick's Day and Easter being some of them as well and whatnot. But it's Valentine's Day, the day of love and whatnot. I just enjoy this holiday. I don't know why. I just do. But as I said before in past Valentine videos, like, hey, if you don't have a date, that's fine. Just feel free to go get yourself chocolate. Feel free to go get yourself a stuffed animal. Go free to do what you want to do. There's nothing that says, like, for example, probably gonna relax and just chill tonight, and I'm gonna just enjoy my night, It's a nice night to have some fun and do my own thing. Anyway, not the point of this video. We are going to be reading more of The Red Queen. Or I could just say Red Queen. I don't know. Anyway, I meant to have chapters 3 and 4 up on Thursday, but a lot of stuff kind of came up, and so I had to kind of push it aside. So we're reading it today. If you guys were not here for chapters 1 and 2, I very highly recommend you go watch 1 and 2, or at least listen to it, and whatnot, so you don't miss out. If you don't mind or anything, but I'll just kind of catch you up real quick. Basically, we learned about who Mare is. She's considered a red, and what it is in their world, they're people in a way, like the royals versus the common, I guess you could say, is separated by blood color. Reds means they have red blood, they don't have special abilities, and they're usually sent to fight in the war and whatnot. The silvers, however, have silver blood, and, excuse me, I actually need some water. I have water this time. I drank most of it before sitting down, but, Anyway, I hit my thing for a second, sorry about that. But we find about, like, the silvers having abilities and whatnot, and their blood is silver, that's why they're called the silvers. We also learn about Mare's friend Keylorn, her family, and we find out that at the end of chapter 2 that Keylorn, his apprentice? No, because Keylorn would be apprentice. I think he called him the master or whatever, something like that. But basically, the person who's teaching him his trade skill and whatnot passed away, and he didn't have a job, so Keylorn's probably gonna be sent to the war. That's where we're at today, and I'm very excited to read this with you guys. So, I have it marked right here, and whatnot. So, this is chapter 3 of Red Queen. Well, chapters 3 and 4. It's been going on for the better part of the last 100 years. I don't think it should even be called a war anymore, but there isn't a word for this higher form of destruction. In school, they told us it started over land. The lake lands are flat and fertile, bordered by immense lakes full of fish. Not like the rocky, forested hills of Norda, where the farmlands can barely feed us. Even the silvers felt the strain, so the king declared war, plunging us into a conflict neither side could really win. The Lakelander king, another silver, responded in kind, with the full support of his own nobility. They wanted our rivers, to get access to a sea that wasn't frozen half of the year. And the water mills dotting our rivers. The mills are what make our country strong, providing enough electricity so that even the Reds can have some. I've heard rumors of cities farther south, near the capital, Archeon, where greatly skilled Reds build machines beyond my comprehension, for transport on land, water, and sky, or weapons to rain destruction wherever the silvers might need. Our teacher proudly told us that Norda was a light of the world, a nation made great by our technology and power. All the rest, like the Lakelands or Piedmont to the south, live in darkness. We were lucky to be born here. Lucky. The word makes me want to scream. But despite our electricity, the Lakelander food, our weapons, their numbers, neither side has much advantage over the other. Both have silver officers and red soldiers, excuse me for a minute, fighting with abilities and guns and the shield of 1,000 red bodies. A war that was supposed to end less than a century ago still drags on. I always found it funny that we fought over food and water. Even the high and mighty silvers need to eat. But it isn't funny now. Not when Keylorn is going to be the next person I say goodbye to. I wonder if he'll give me an earring so I can remember him when the polished legionnaire takes him away. 1 week, Mare. 1 week and I'm gone. His voice cracks, though he coughs to try to cover it up. I can't do this. They won't take me. But I can see the fight going out of his eyes. There must be something we can do, I blurt out. There's nothing anyone can do. No one has escaped conscription and lived. He doesn't need to tell me that. Every year, someone tries to run, and every year they're dragged back to the town square and hanged. No, we'll find a way. Even now, he finds the strength to smirk at me. We? The heat in my cheek surges faster than any flame. I'm doomed for conscription, same as you, but they're not going to get me either, so we run. The army has always been my fate, my punishment. I know that. But not his. It's already taken too much from him. There's nowhere we can go, he sputters. But at least he's arguing. At least he's not given up. We'd never survive the north in winter. The east is the sea. The west is more war. The south is radiated to all hell. And everywhere in between is crawling with Silver's insecurity. The words pour out of me like a river. So is the village, crawling with Silver's insecurity. And we manage to steal right on their noses and escape with our heads. My mind races, trying my hardest to find something, anything, that might be of use. And then it hits me, like a bolt of lightning. The black market trade, the one we help keep running, smuggles everything from grain to light bulbs. Who's to say they can't smuggle people? His mouth open, about to spout 1,000 reasons why this wouldn't work. But then he smiles and nods. I don't like getting involved with other people's business. I don't have time for it. And yet here I am, listening to myself say 4 dooming words. Leave everything to me. Let me take a sip of water. I need to make tea next time. Okay. I'm also going to turn on light because it's a little dark. There we go. That's better. You guys can see me. Okay. The things we can't sell to the usual shop owners, we have to take to Will Whistle. He's old, too feeble to work the lumber yards, so he sweeps the streets by day. At night, he sells everything you could want out of his moldy wagon, from heavily restricted coffee to exotics from Archeon. I was 9 with a fistful of stolen buttons when I took my chances with Will. He paid me 3 copper pennies for them, no questions asked. Now, I'm his best customer, and probably the reason he manages to stay afloat in such a small place. On a good day, I might even call him a friend. It was years before I discovered Will was part of a much larger operation. Some call it the underground, others the black market. But all I care about is what they can do. They have fences, people like Will, everywhere, even Archeon, as impossible as that sounds. They transport illegal goods all over the country, and now I'm betting that they might make an exception and transport a person instead. Absolutely not. In 8 years, Will has never said no to me. Excuse me. Now the wrinkled old fool is practically slamming shut the doors of his wagon in my face. I'm happy Keylorn's staying behind, so he doesn't have to see me fail him. Will, please, I know you can do it. He shakes his head, white beard waggling. Even if I could, I am still a tradesman. The people I work with aren't the type to spend their time and effort shuttling another runner from place to place. It's not our business. I can feel my only hope, Keylorn's only hope, slipping right through my fingers. Will must see the desperation in my eyes before he softens, leaning against the wagon door. He heaves a sigh and glances backward into the darkness of the wagon. After a moment, he turns back around and gestures, beckoning me inside. I follow, gladly. Thank you, Will, I babble. You don't know what this means to me. Sit down and be quiet, girl, a high voice says. Out of the shadows of the wagon, hardly visible in the dim light of Will's single blue candle, a woman rises to her feet. Girl, I should say, since she looks barely older than me, but she's much taller, with the air of an old warrior. The gun at her hip, tucked into a red sash belt, stamped with suns, is certainly not authorized. She's too blonde and fair to be from the stilts, and judging from the light sweat on her face, she's not used to the heat or humidity. She is a foreigner, an outlander, and an outlaw at that. Just the person I want to see. She waves at me to the bench cut into the wagon wall, and she sits down again only when I have. Will follows closely behind, and all but collapses into a worn chair, his eyes flitting between the girl and me. Excuse me. Let me take a nice sip of water. Much better. Mare Barrow, meet Farley, he murmurs, as she tightens her jaw. Her gaze lands on my face. You wish to transport cargo, myself and a boy, but she holds up a large, calloused hand, cutting me off. Cargo, she says, again, eyes full of meaning. My heart leaps in my chest. This Farley girl might be of the helping kind. And what is the destination? I rack my brain, trying to think of somewhere safe. The old classroom map swims before my eyes, outlining the coast and the rivers, marking cities and villages and everything in between, from Harbor Bay west of the Lakelands, the northern tundra to the radiated wastes of the ruins and the wash. It's all a dangerous land for us. Somewhere safe from the Silvers, that's all. Farley blinks at me, her expression unchanging. Safety has a price, girl. Everything has a price, girl. I fire back, matching her tone. No one knows that more than me. So sorry for this very weird cut. I all of a sudden was needed briefly, but I am back, and I'm gonna skip upward back to a few lines just so it kind of recaps where it needs to be, because I'm not sure what line I pause at. Okay, here we go. Excuse me. Everything has... Oh, here we go. Here, let's start right here. Farley blinks at me, her expression unchanging. Safety has a price, girl. Everything has a price, girl. I fire back, matching her tone. No one knows that more than me. A long beat of silence stretches through the wagon. I can feel the night wasting away, taking precious minutes from Kilorn. Farley must sense my unease and impatience, but makes no hurry to speak. After what seems like an eternity, her mouth finally opens. The Scarlet Guard accepts Mayor Barrow. It takes all the restraint I have to keep from jumping out of my seat with joy, but something tugs at me, keeping a smile from crossing my face. Payment is expected in full, the equivalent of 1,000 crowns, Farley continues. That almost knocks the air from my lungs. Even Will looks surprised, his fluffy white eyebrows disappearing into his hairline. 1,000? I managed to choke out. No one deals in that amount of money, not in the stilts. That could feed my family for a year. Many years. But Farley isn't finished. I get the sense that she enjoys this. This can be paid in paper notes? Tetra coins? I don't know how to say that exactly. Or the battering equivalent. Per item, of course. 2,000 crowns. A fortune. Our freedom is worth a fortune. Your cargo will be moved the day after tomorrow. You must pay then. Excuse me. I can barely breathe. Less than 2 days to accumulate more money than I have stolen in my entire life. There's no way. Excuse me. She doesn't even give me time to protest. Do you accept the terms? I need more time. She shakes her head and leans forward. I smell gunpowder on her. Do you accept the terms? It is impossible. It is foolish. It is our best chance. I accept the terms. The next moments pass in a blur as I trudge home through the muddy shadows. My mind is on fire, trying to figure out a way to get my hands on anything worth even close to Farley's price. There's nothing in the stilts, that's for sure. Kilorn is still waiting in the darkness, looking like a lost little boy. I suppose he is. Bad news? He says, trying to keep his voice even, but it trembles anyway. The underground can get us out of here. For his sake, I keep myself calm as I explain. 2,000 crowns might as well be the king's throne, but I make it seem like nothing. If anyone can do it, we can. We can. Mayor. His voice is cold, colder than winter, but the hollow look in his eyes is worse. It's over. We lost. But if we just... He grabs my shoulders, holding me at an arm's length in his firm grip. It doesn't hurt, but it shocks me all the same. Don't do this to me, Mayor. Don't make believe there's a way out of this. Don't give me hope. He's right. It's cruel to give hope where none should be. It only turns into disappointment, resentment, rage. All the things that make this life more difficult than it already is. Just let me accept it, Mayor. Or just let me accept it. Maybe then I can actually get my head in order, get myself trained properly, give myself a fighting chance out there. My hands find his wrists, and I hold on tight. You talk like you're already dead. Maybe I am. Your father made sure they knew what they were doing long before they went away. And it helps that they're all the size of a house. He forces a smirk, trying to get me to laugh. It doesn't work. I'm a good swimmer and sailor. They'll need me on the lakes. It's only when he wraps his arm around me, hugging me, that I realize I'm shaking. Kilorn, I mumble into his chest, but the next words won't come. It should be me. But my time is fast approaching. I can only hope Kilorn survives long enough for me to see him again. In the barracks or in the trench. Maybe then I'll find the right words to say. Maybe then I'll understand how I feel. Thank you, Mayor, for everything. He pulls back, letting me go far too quickly. If you save up, you'll have enough by the time the Legion comes for you. For him, I nod. But I have no plans of letting him fight and die alone. By the time I settle down into my cot, I know I will not sleep tonight. There must be something I can do. Even if it takes all night, I'm going to figure it out. Jisa coughs in her sleep, and it's a courteous, tiny sound. Even unconscious, she manages to be ladylike. No wonder she fits in so well with the Silvers. She's everything they like in a red. Quiet, content, and unassuming. It's a good thing she's the one who has to deal with them, helping the superhuman fools pick out silk and fine fabrics for clothes they'll just wear once. She says you get used to him, to the amount of money they spend on such trivial things. And at Grand Garden, the marketplace in Somerton, the money increases tenfold. Together with her mistress, Jesus sews lace, silk, fur, even gemstones to create wearable art for the silver elite, who seem to follow the royals everywhere. Excuse me. The parade, she calls them, an endless march of preening peacocks, each one more proud and ridiculous than the next. All silver, all silly, and all status obsessed. I hate them even more than usual tonight. The stockings they lose would probably be enough to save me, Keylorn, and half the stills from conscription. For the second time tonight, lightning strikes. Jisa, wake up. I do not whisper. The girl sleeps like the dead. Jisa! She sips and groans under her pillow. Sometimes I want to kill you, she grumbles. How sweet. Now wake up. Her eyes are still closed when I pounce, laying on her like a giant cat. Before she can start yelling and whining and get my mother involved, I clamp a hand over her mouth. Just listen to me. That's all. Don't talk. Just listen. She huffs against my hand, but nods all the same. Keylorn. Her skin flushes bright red at the mention of him. She even giggles, something she never does. But I don't have time for a schoolgirl crush. Not now. Stop that, Jisa. I take a shaky breath. Keylorn is going to be conscripted. And then her laughter is gone. Conscription isn't a joke. Not to us. I found a way to get him out of here, to save him from the war. But I need your help to do it. It hurts to say it, but somehow the words pass my lips. I need you, Jisa. Will you help me? She doesn't hesitate to answer, and I feel a great swell of love for my sister. Yes. It's a good thing I'm short, or else Jisa's extra uniform would never fit. It's thick and dark, not all as suited to the summer sun. With buttons and zippers that seem to cook in the heat. Hold 1 second. The pack on my back shifts, almost taking me over with the weight of cloth and sewing instruments. Jisa has her own pack and constricting uniform, but they don't seem to bother her at all. She's used to hard work and a hard life. Sorry about the really weird cut again. I was suddenly needed again for something very important and whatnot. It was brief, but anyway. Okay. We sail most of the distance upriver, squashed between bushels of wheat on the barge of a benevolent farmer Jisa befriended years ago. People trust her around here, like they can never trust me. The farmer lets us off with a mile still to go, near the winding trail of merchants heading for Somerton. Now we shuffle with them, toward what Jisa calls the garden door, though there are no gardens to be seen. It's actually a gate made of sparkling glass that blinds us before we even get a chance to step inside. The rest of the wall looks to be made of the same thing, but I can't believe the Silver King would be stupid enough to hide behind glass walls. It isn't glass, Jisa tells me, or at least not entirely. The Silvers discovered a way to heat diamond and mix it with other materials. It's totally impregnable. Not even a bomb could get through that. Diamond walls. That seems necessary. Keep your head down. Let me do the talking, she whispers. I stay on her heels, my eyes on the road as it fades from cracked black asphalt to paved white stone. It's so smooth I could almost slip, but Jisa grabs my arm, keeping me steady. Keylorn wouldn't have a problem walking on this, not with his sea legs. But then Keylorn wouldn't be here at all. He's already given up. I will not. As we get closer to the gates, I squint through the glare to see the other side. Though Somerton only exists for the season, abandoned before the first frostfall, is the biggest city I've ever seen. There are bustling streets, shops, cantina bars, houses, and courtyards, all of them pointed towards the shimmering monstrosity of diamond glass and marble. And now I know where it got its name. The Hall of the Sun shines like a star, reaching 100 feet into the air in a twisting mass of spires and bridges. Parts of it darkened seemingly at will, to give the occupants privacy. Can't have the peasants looking at the king and his court. It's breathtaking, intimidating, magnificent. And this is just the summer house. Names, a gruff voice barks, and Jisa stops short. Jisa Barrow. This is my sister, Mare Barrow. Excuse me. She's helping me bring some wares in for my mistress. She doesn't flinch, keeping her voice even, almost bored. The security officer nods at me, and I shift my pack, making a show of it. Jisa hands over our identification cards, both of them torn, dirty things ready to fall apart. But they suffice. The man examining us must know my sister because he barely glances at her ID. Mine he scrutinizes, looking between my face and my picture for a good minute. I wonder if he's a whisper too and can read my mind. That would put an end to this little excursion very quickly, and probably earn me a cable noose around my neck. Wrists, he sighs, already bore with us. For a moment, I'm puzzled, but Jesus sticks out her right hand without a thought. I follow the gesture, pointing my arm at the officer. He slaps a pair of red bands around our wrists. The circles shrink until they're tight as shackles. There's no removing these things on our own. Move along, the officer says, gesturing with a lazy wave of the hand. 2 young girls are not a threat in his eyes. Jisa nods and thanks, but I don't. This man doesn't deserve an ounce of appreciation from me. The gates yawn open around us, and we march forward. My heartbeat pounds in my ears, drowning out the sounds of Grand Garden as we enter a different world. It's a market like I've never seen, dotted with flowers and trees and fountains. The reds are few and fast, running errands and selling their own wares, all marked by their red bands. Though the silvers wear no band, they're easy to spot. They drip with gems and precious metals, and a fortune on every one of them. One slip of a hook, and I can go home with everything I'll ever need. All are tall and beautiful and cold, moving with a slow grace no red can claim. We simply don't have the time to move that way. Jisa guides me past the bakery, with cakes dusted in gold, a grocer displaying brightly colored fruits I've never seen before, and even a menagerie full of wild animals beyond my comprehension. A little girl, silver judging by her clothes, feeds tiny bits of an apple to a spotted horse-like creature with an impossibly long neck. A few streets over, a jewelry store sparkles in every color of the rainbow. I make note of it, but keeping my head straight here is difficult. The air seems to pulse, vibrant with life. Just when I think there could be nothing more fantastic than this place, I look closer at the silvers and remember exactly who they are. The little girl is a telki, levitating the apple 10 feet into the air to feed the long-necked beast. A florist runs his hands through a pot of white flowers, and they explode into growth, curling around his elbows. He's a greenie, a manipulator of plants and the earth. A pair of nymphs sit by the fountain, lazily entertaining children with floating orbs of water. One of them has orange hair and hateful eyes, even while kids mill around him. All over the square, every type of silver goes about their extraordinary lives. There's so many, each one grand and wonderful and powerful, and so far removed from the world I know. This is how the other half lives, Jisa murmurs, sensing my awe. It's enough to make you sick. Guilt ripples through me, and I've always been jealous of Jisa, her talent and all the privileges it affords her, but I've never thought of the cause. She didn't spend much time in school and has few friends in the stilts. If Jisa were normal, she would have many. She would smile. Instead, the 14-year-old girl soldiers through with needle and thread, putting the future of her family on her back, living neck deep in a world she hates. Excuse me. Thank you, G, I whisper into her ear. She knows I don't just mean for today. Sala's shop is there, with the blue awning. She points down a side street to a tiny store sandwiched between a pair of cafes. I'll be inside if you need me. I won't, I answer quickly. Even if things go wrong, I won't get you involved. Good. Then she grabs my hand, squeezing tight for a second. Be careful. It's crowded today. More than usual. More places to hide, I tell her with a smirk. But her voice is grave. More officers, too. We continue walking. Every step brings us closer to the exact moment she'll leave me alone in this strange place. A thrum of panic goes through me as Jisa gently lifts a pack from my shoulders. We've reached her shop. To calm myself, I ramble under my breath. Speak to no one. Don't make eye contact. Keep moving. I leave the way I came, through the garden door. The officer removes my band, and I keep walking. She nods as I speak, her eyes wide, wary, and perhaps even hopeful. It's 10 miles to home. 10 miles to home. She echoes, wishing for all the world I could go with her. I watch Jisa disappear beneath the blue awning. She's got me this far. Now it's my turn. Chapter 4. I've done this 1,000 times before, watching the crowd like a wolf does a flock of sheep, looking for the weak, the slow, the foolish. Only now I am very much the prey. I might choose a swift who'll catch me in half a heartbeat, or worse, a whisper who could probably sense me coming a mile away. Even the little Telki girl can best me if things go south. So I'll have to be faster than ever, smarter than ever, and worst of all, luckier than ever. Excuse me. Much better. It's maddening. Fortunately, no one pays attention to another red serpent, another insect wandering past the feet of gods. I head back to the square, arms hanging limp but ready at my sides. Normally, this is my dance, walking through the most congested parts of a crowd, letting my hands catch purses and pockets like spiderwebs catching flies. I'm not stupid enough to try that here. Instead, I follow the crowd around the square. Now, I'm not blinded by my fantastic surroundings, but looking beyond them, to the cracks in the stone, the black uniformed security officers in every shadow. The impossible silver world comes into sharper focus. Silvers barely look at each other, and they never smile. The Telki girl looks bored feeding her strange beast, and merchants don't even haggle. Only the reds look alive, darting around the slow-moving men and women of a better life. Despite the heat, the sun, the bright banners, I've never seen a place so cold. What concerns me most are the black video cameras hitting the canopy or alleyways. There are only a few at home, at the security outpost or in the arena, but they're all over the market. I can just hear them humming in the firm reminder. Someone else is watching here. Excuse me. The tide of the crowd takes me down the main avenue, past taverns and cafes. Silver sit in an open air bar, watching the crowd pass as they enjoy their morning drinks. Some watch video screens set into walls or hanging from archways. Each one plays something different, ranging from old arena matches to news to brightly colored programs I don't understand, all blending together in my head. The high whine of the screens, the distant sound of static, buzzes in my ears. How can they stand it? I don't know. But the Silvers don't even blink at the videos, almost ignore them entirely. The hall itself casts a glimmering shadow over me, and I find myself staring in stupid awe again. But then a droning noise snaps me out of it. At first, it sounds like the arena tone, the one used to start the feat. But this one is different, low and heavier somehow. Without a thought, I turn to the noise. In the bar next to me, all the video screens flicker to the same broadcast. Not a royal address, but a news report. Even the Silvers stop to watch in rapt silence. When the drone ends, the report begins. A fluffy, blonde woman, Silver no doubt, appears on the screen. She reads from a piece of paper and looks frightened. Silvers of Norda, we apologize for the interruption. 13 minutes ago, there was a terrorist attack in the capital. The Silvers around me gasped, bursting into fearful murmurs. I can only blink in disbelief. Terrorist attack? On the Silvers? Okay, I don't know what was seen of that. My mom had brought me something, just kind of tossed it. Oh my goodness gracious. That was too funny for me. Okay. Sorry about that. Continuing on. Okay. Is that even possible? This was an organized bombing of government buildings in West Archeon. According to reports, the Royal Court, the Treasury Hall, and Whitefire Palace have been damaged, but the court and the Treasury were not in session this morning. The image changes from the woman to footage of a burning building. Security officers evacuate the people inside while nymphs blast water onto the flames. Healers, marked by a black and red cross on their arms, ran to and fro among them. The royal family was not in residence at Whitefire, and there were no reported casualties at this time. King Tiberius is expected to address the nation within the hour. A Silver next to me clenches his fist and pounds on the bar, sending spider cracks through solid rock top. A strong arm. It's the Lakelanders. They're losing up north, so they're coming down south to scare us. A few jeer with them, cursing the Lakelands. We should wipe them out, push them all the way through to the prairie. Another Silver echoes. Many cheer in agreement. It takes all my strength not to snap at these cowards who will never see the front lines or send their children to fight. Their civil war is being paid for in red blood. As more and more footage rolls, showing the marble facade of the courthouse explode into dust or a diamond glass wall withstanding a fireball, part of me feels happy. The Silvers are not invincible. They have enemies. Enemies who can hurt them. And for once, they aren't hiding behind a red shield. The newscaster returns, paler than ever. Someone whispers to her off screen and she shuffles through her notes, her hand shaking. It seems that an organization has taken responsibility for the Archeon bombing, she says, stumbling a bit. The shouting men quiet quickly, eager to hear the words on screen. A terrorist group calling themselves the Scarlet Guard released this video moments ago. The Scarlet Guard? Who the hell? Some kind of trick? And other confused questions rise around the bar. No one has heard of the Scarlet Guard before. But I have. That's what Farley called herself, her and Will. But they are smugglers. Both of them. Not terrorists or bombers or whatever else the broadcast might say. It's a coincidence. It can't be them. On screen, I'm greeted by a terrible sight. A woman stands in front of a shaky camera, a scarlet bandana around her face so only her golden hair and keen blue eyes shine out. She holds a gun in one hand, a tattered red flag in another, and on her chest there's a bronze badge in the shape of a torn-apart sun. We are the Scarlet Guard, and we stand for the freedom and equality of all people, the woman says. I recognize her voice. Farley. Starting with the Reds. I don't need to be a genius to know that a bar full of angry, violent Silvers is the last place a red girl wants to be. But I can't move. I can't tear my eyes away from Farley's face. You believe you are the masters of the world, but your reign as kings and gods is at an end. Until you recognize us as human, as equal, the fight will be at your door. Not on a battlefield, but in your cities, in your streets, in your homes. You don't see us, and so we are everywhere. Her voice hums with authority and poise, and we will rise up, red as the dawn. Excuse me. Red as the dawn. The footage ends, cutting back to the slack-jawed blonde. Roars drown out the rest of the broadcast as Silvers around the bar find their voices. They scream about Farley, calling her a terrorist, a murderer, a red devil. Before their eyes can follow me, I back out into the street. But all down the avenue, from the square to the hall, Silvers boil out from every bar and cafe. I try to rip off the red band around my wrist, but the stupid thing holds firm. Other Reds disappear into alleys and doorways, trying to flee, and I am smart enough to follow. By the time I find an alleyway, the screaming starts. Against every instinct, I look over my shoulder to see a red man being held up by the neck. He pleads with his silver assailant, begging, "Please, I don't know. I don't know who the hell those people are." "What is the Scarlet Guard?" the silver yells into his face. I recognize him as one of the mints who was playing children not half an hour ago. "Who are they?" Before the red can answer, a spray of water pounds against him, stronger than falling hammers. The nymph raises his hand, and the water rises up, splashing him again. Silver surround the scene, jeering with glee, cheering him on. The red sputters and gasps, trying to catch his breath. He proclaims his innocence with every spare second, but the water keeps coming. The nymph, wide-eyed with hate, shows no signs of stopping. He pulls water from the fountains, from every glass, raining it down again and again. The nymph is drowning him. The blue awning is my beacon, guiding me through the panicked streets as I dodge Reds and Silvers alike. Usually, chaos is my best friend, making my work as a thief much easier. No one notices a missing coin purse when they're running from a mob. But Keylorn and 2,000 crowns are no longer my top priority. I can only think about getting to Gisa and getting out of the city that will certainly become a prison. If they close those gates, I don't want to think about being stuck here, trapped behind glass with freedom just out of reach. Officers run back and forth in the street. They don't know what to do or who to protect. A few round up Reds, force them to their knees. They shiver and beg, repeating over and over that they don't know anything. I'm willing to bet I'm the only one in the entire city who had even heard of the Scarlet Guard before today. That sends a new stab of fear through me. If I'm captured, if I tell them what little I know, what will they do to my family? To Keylorn? To the stilts? They cannot catch me. Excuse me. Using the stalls to hide, I run as fast as I can. The main street is a war zone, but I keep my eyes forward, and the blue awning beyond the square. I pass the jewelry store, and slow. Just one piece could save Keylorn. But in the heartbeat it takes me to stop, a hail of glass scrapes my face. In the street, a Telki has his eyes on me and takes aim again. I don't give him the chance and take off, sliding under curtains and stalls and outstretched arms until I get back to the square. Before I know it, water sloshes around my feet as I sprint through the fountain. A frothing blue wave knocks me sideways into the churning water. It's not deep, no more than 2 feet to the bottom, but the water feels like lead. I can't move. I can't swim. I can't breathe. I can barely think. My mind can only scream, nymph. And I remember the poor red man down on the avenue, drowning on his own 2 feet. My head smacks the stone bottom, and I see stars, sparks. Before my vision clears, every inch of my skin feels electrified. The water shifts around me, normal again, and I break the surface of a fountain. Air screams back into my lungs, searing my throat and nose, but I don't care. I'm alive. Small, strong hands grab me by the collar, trying to pull me from the fountain. Jisa. My feet push off the bottom and we tumble to the ground together. We have to go, I yell, scrambling to my feet. Jisa is already running ahead of me, toward the garden door. Very perceptive of you, she screams over her shoulder. I can't help but look back at the square as I follow her. The silver mob pours in, searching through the stalls with the voracity of wolves. The few rats left behind cower on the ground, begging for mercy. And in the fountain I just escaped from, a man with orange hair floats face down. My body trembles, every nerve on fire as we push toward the gate. Jisa holds my hand, pulling us both through the crowd. 10 miles to home, Jisa murmurs. Did you get what you needed? The weight of my shame comes crashing down as I shake my head. There was no time. I could barely get down the avenue before the report came. There was nothing I could do. Jisa's face falls, folding into a tiny frown. We'll figure out something, she says, her voice just as desperate as I feel. But the gate looms ahead, growing close with every passing second. It fills me with dread. Once I pass through, once I leave, Yolande will really be gone. And I think that's why she does it. Before I can stop her, grab her, or pull her away, Jisa's clever little hand slips into someone's bag. Not just any someone, though, but an escaping silver. A silver with lead eyes, a hard note, and square set shoulders that scream, don't mess with me. Jisa might be an artist with a needle and thread, but she's no pickpocket. It takes all of a second for him to realize what's happening, and then someone grabs Jisa off the ground. It's the same silver. There are 2 of them? Twins? Not a wise time to start picking Silver's pockets, the twins say in unison, and then there are 3 of them. 4, 5, 6 surrounding us in a crowd, multiplying. He's a cloner. They make my head spin. She didn't mean any harm. She's just a stupid kid. I'm just a stupid kid, Jisa yells, trying to kick the one holding her. They chuckle together in a horrifying sound. I lunge at Jisa, trying to pry her away, but one of them pushes me back to the ground. The hard stone knocks the air from my lungs, and I gasp for breath, watching helplessly as another twin puts a foot on my stomach, holding me down. Please, I choke out, but no one's listening to me anymore. The whining in my head intensifies as every camera spins to look at us. I feel electrified again, this time by fear for my sister. A security officer, the one who let us in earlier this morning, strides over, his gun in hand. What's all this? He growls, looking around at the identical silvers. One by one they meld back together, until only 2 remain. The one holding Jisa and the one pinning me to the ground. She's a thief, one says, shaking my sister. To her credit, she doesn't scream. The officer recognizes her, his hard face twitching into a frown for a split second. You know the law, girl. Excuse me. Jisa lowers her head. I know the law. I struggle as much as I can, trying to stop what's coming. Glass shatters as a nearby screen cracks and flashes, broken by the riot. It does nothing to stop the officer as he grabs my sister, pushing her to the ground. My own voice screams out, joining the din of the chaos. It was me! It was my idea! Hurt me! But they don't listen. They don't care. I can only watch as the officer lays my sister next to me. Her eyes are on mine as he brings the butt of his gun down, shattering the bones in her sewing hand. And that is the end of chapter 4. Holy moly, that scene always is like, whenever I read those 2 chapters, it definitely sets the tone of like, and I understand like, you know, they're kind of looking at like, oh, this group of people is hurting us and everything. I get that. But at the same time, like, just the fact that they turned so quick and weren't willing to listen, just, God, it always speaks so to me, and I'm not sure what way, it just always speaks to me in that way, so, yeah. But anyway, that was chapters 3 and 4 of Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. This is really fun to do and whatnot. I really enjoy it. So thank you guys so much for joining me, and reading these ones. I'll try to get the next video out on Thursday, and whatnot, and, yeah. So thank you guys again so very much. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all in the next video. Mwah. Bye!